I actually started having seizures when I was probably 12 years old, 13 years old, but I didn't realize that's what was going on. I would have this feeling come on me that was almost like an anxiety, and people would talk to me and I didn't understand what they were saying at the time, but I didn't know it was a seizure. I thought it was like a panic attack or something like that. And I didn't say anything to anybody because I didn't know that it was a seizure. Later on, I learned it was what's called a partial complex seizure. And so only part of your brain is being affected. It's really the neurons in your brain are firing. And so only part of my brain was being affected. And so if you were speaking to me right now and that was happening, I wouldn't be able to understand what you were saying, and it would look like I'm like just kind of staring and kind of funny, and if I tried to talk, you wouldn't be able to understand what I was saying, but I wouldn't fall down, I wouldn't be shaking or anything like that. And so that happened from like 12 years old all the way to about 20 years old. And then when I was 20, I was married. My wife and I got married. We were in university, and that was the first time I ever had a full-blown seizure where I fell down, and it's called a grand mal seizure, and fell down, and I was at home. I was in the shower at the time, and my wife just heard this big, boom, and found me in the shower. She didn't know what was going on because I had never been diagnosed with epilepsy, and just found me. She's thinking, what is this? She didn't know about it, and I just woke up and a paramedic is shining a flashlight in my face, and I'm like thinking like somebody's broken into my house or something. It was just crazy. But they took me to the hospital, asked me lots of questions, and as I sort of talked about those what I thought was panic attacks, they could figure out pretty quick he's having seizures for years, just these small partial complex ones. Started talking to a neurologist, a brain doctor, and he could tell, wow, this has been happening, and this is the first really big one he's had in his life. And they could start doing tests and figure out where did this happen? Because some people, they could have had a brain trauma. Maybe they fell down, they had a scar on their brain. Some people, it's from something in their family that it's happened, like their parent had it, and then them, it's biological. And some, they just have a really hard time finding it. And when they did a lot of tests on me from the neurologist, CAT scans and things like that, they weren't able to find out where does this originate. But it's really important to understand that it is medical. And so as they put me on prescription drugs, they were able to treat it pretty quickly. And so those partial complex seizures then went away. And so as long as I took the prescription drugs and stayed on that and really started to learn what is going on, they were able to treat it. And I'm fortunate that happens, because some people, they have a hard time treating it with prescription drugs. Not everybody, they're able to find the right combination. There are lots of different prescription drugs that have been created over the time, but not everybody can find the right, I guess, cocktail, they say, of different drugs that they have to be able to put together. And some people can control it pretty well. But in America, which is obviously where I've seen it the most, some people can have 30 seizures in one day. Some people like me hardly ever do. And so it's really different for every single person. And that's one of the important things to understand. No two people are the same. Everybody has to be treated a little bit differently because it's a medical disorder. And so similar to like cancer or something like that, there's lots of different kinds of seizures. There's lots of different drugs, but doctors are trying to treat it lots of different ways to be able to help people.